The man stabbed the blade fiercely into his chest, then suddenly yanked his arm outward. Blood gushed out like a tide. Everyone thought he was crazy, but unexpectedly, Hades started humming a tune. A pathological pleasure appeared in his eyes, and took up his spear at random. He charged straight at his opponent. Qin Shi Huang immediately exhaled a breath of true energy. At the very moment the true energy entered its body, Hades' floor was forcibly twisted. At the same time, the thrusting movement was also carried over to the next round. Ares in the stand suddenly understood the reason Hades had harmed himself. The main thing is to let the blood bathe the whole body, so that you can feel the presence of true qi. However, the truth goes far beyond that. Blood flowed through the lung cavity. Not only did they not feel down, instead, it infiltrated the twin halberds like a living creature.
The fire of the underworld.
Although the artifact transformed into an unprecedentedly terrifying form, but the sharpness of self-improvement in this world often comes with the most fatal backlash. Once the vitality within this body is completely drained, even the king of the underworld would die. At this moment, Hades, wielding brand new fierce soldiers, has greatly grown in strength. A plain wuhua spike tore through the air, whistling out. Qin Shi Huang's expression calmed, and he immediately activated the formation of the heavenly rift to fiercely resist. However, that indestructible divine artifact was deeply torn apart. Thus, his undiminished ferocity struck Qin Shi Huang's eyes. Finally, it was blasted dozens of meters away. This spectacular scene brought tears to Ares' eyes. That domineering presence that runs through everything, that overwhelming pressure that makes it hard to breathe. It was as if he had seen once again the Lord of the Underworld, who once made all realms submit. Once, in the decisive battle between the strongest god in the universe, just overthrowing the tyranny that bore Kronos, he seized control over the great divine realm. However, the throne hasn't even warmed up to the point of warmth. Mother goddess Gaia led a million-strong giant race in a massive attack. Seeing the opponent about to enter the divine realm, Zeus, he decided to lead the three brothers from the divine realm to personally face the battle. Hades had originally planned to join the expedition. Unexpectedly, he received an extreme arrow sent by the underworld. It turns out, taking advantage of the Titan remnant's lack of time in the heavens to pay attention to the fierce assault on the underworld, Nairo prison. In other words, the divine realm is suffering from the deadliest all-time attack from the generation of fathers in history. To avoid disrupting the battle on the heavenly realm side, Hades sent all his men to support him, taking on the challenge alone. The moment the entire Titan army pushed open the gates of the Ming realm, what he saw was a sea of wet mountains and blood. In contrast, Hades sat leisurely on a pillar humming a tune. And this is the true power of the Lord of the Underworld.
We just love the brothers and sisters.
Now all the gods were expressions of certainty about victory in their view. There was no suspense in this matchup. From the moment Hades stepped onto the battlefield, victory had long been embraced by the gods. At this moment, Qin Shi Huang's situation was indeed far from optimistic. The cost of a series of escapes was far more brutal than imagined. Yahweh's shoulders were completely shattered. This also meant he could no longer use the established heavenly rift. However, these minor pains, how could it block a place that lasts through the ages for the thousands of people on the land behind him? No matter what, he was determined to win this victory. Feeling the iron will radiating from Qin Shi Huang, Awit, his lips curled into a smile. Since that is the case, he also opened his soul without reservation, ready for the last time. Yes, the strongest protection is attack. Next is a summary and analysis of Hatis' story in this episode. It is not just a simple dragging plot, but rather soul is infused into the characters and themes. He made this king versus king battle fully embodiment, whether it was the first emperor for the sake of all living beings, or the root of Hades' fight to protect his brothers, all out of protection for those they love. Beneath the dazzling special effects, this protective heart is the true foundation that moves people's hearts. Their battle had already surpassed the clash of power, facing Hades' almost self-destructive tactics, demonstrating steel like willpower. Hades harbors a strong desire to avenge his brother Poseidon. This brotherly bond became an obsession he could not afford to lose. Therefore, this king versus king battle is a recognition of each other's responsibility and commitment among the kings.